Today we're going to do a drawing of a dragon, and we're going to use many of the different elements of art to draw our dragon. First, we're going to draw the outline lines of our dragon to create the different shapes of the different parts of its body, but also we're going to add some value. Remember, value meaning the lightness of darkness of something. Adding different sort of shadows and highlights in order to create the illusion of form. And form means something that is either three-dimensional or at least appears to look three-dimensional. So we're going to add that light and shadow to make our dragon appear to look 3D and realistic. We're also going to add texture. Now, texture is the sixth element of art, and it means the way that something feels, or in this case, the way that something looks like how it feels, which is called implied texture. So we're going to add the implied texture of the dragon's scales and the smoothness of its horn, etc., to show the different textures of how this dragon would feel if we were to pet it in real life. So what you're going to need for this project is very simple. You just need a blank piece of white paper, a pencil, and a black marker. Okay, that's really it. In order to first start our drawing of our dragon, we're going to fold our paper in 2/8 in order for us to know where to draw our different lines to keep things proportionate or the correct size. So first step, you're going to take your piece of paper, you're going to lay it down in portrait orientation, meaning it's tall and skinny, not wide and fat, but tall and skinny. Then you're going to put your pinchers on either side, and you are just going to bring one pincher to the other from side to side, folding it in half so that it is long and skinny like that, okay? The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a pincher at the top and at the bottom. You are going to bring down the top to bottom, folding it again. There we go, folding it again. Then we're going to do it one more time where we have our pincher at the top, pincher at the bottom, folding it one more time. Okay, so your paper should look like this little rectangle. Awesome. Once you have it folded, you can unfold it. There we go. Put it back into portrait orientation, and you should notice you should have 4 rectangles on one half of your page and 4 rectangles lined up vertically on the other half of your page. That's gonna allow us, when we're drawing the different lines, to kind of keep track of where each part of the dragon should be, okay? Next, what you wanna do is you're gonna get out your pencil, and we're first gonna just draw the contour lines of our dragon, meaning we're just drawing the outlines of its body. So the first line that we're gonna do is at the top, find the halfway mark in the middle of that fold at the top. Find the halfway mark right here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna draw a curved line from the halfway mark on this fold to the halfway mark on this horizontal fold. So if it's helpful for you, you can draw a dot here and a dot here. Then, okay, let's just draw a nice curved line going down to meet the other dot. Awesome. Then what we're going to do is we're going to draw another dot halfway on this fold, but this time we're going to draw a nice curved line coming out and then slightly coming back in to meet this dot. So again, curving out just a little bit, but then curving in. Nice. Okay, and then this line, we're gonna have it continue to kind of curve down, but then right at the end, so right about a little bit above this fold, it's going to curve very sharply to the right and hit that fold and continue on. So starting from here, let's continue to go down And as it's getting 2/3 of the way down, you're going to start turning it the other way to the right along that fold and off your page. Nice, so it should have this kind of backward S looking line. That is going to be just the back of our dragon. Now let's do just where the beginning of his like neck to belly is. So count 1, 2 rectangles down at the bottom of the second rectangle on the left-hand side, right where it meets that center fold. Let's make that dot. Okay, and then let's make a dot at the middle, at the bottom of our last rectangle at the bottom. So a dot right here. Okay, so dot on this second rectangle from the top in the corner, and then a dot in the halfway mark at our bottom rectangle to the left. Then all we're going to do is we're going to draw a curved line curving out and then hitting that bottom dot. So ready? We're going to curve out, hitting kind of the middle of this rectangle and just slightly curving down. Awesome. Okay, so we should have one big curved line here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to start adding the different outlines of his head. So what we're going to do is let's find the halfway mark on this horizontal fold on the top rectangle on the left-hand side. So make a little dot there. Okay. We're just going to draw our a slightly curved line from this dot that we've already made at the top center down to that dot. So ready? Just whoop. There we go. Hitting there. Now from there, we're going to make a slight little curve on the inside, almost like you're making just a slight letter C. That's just the top of his little eyebrow. And then from there, we're going to go out and curve slightly back in, hitting the fold. So that's kind of his snout. So again, we had the curve of his eyebrow, which is just a slight letter C, curving back out and down and in for his snout. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do the rest of his snout. So let's do this. Continuing from this end, going up, and then slightly curving down to that dot. So let's, at the end of this line that we just made, curve in, slightly up, getting towards that center fold and coming down, hitting that dot. Awesome. So we should have his head and his neck fully complete. Awesome. Next, let's draw our dragon's little grumpy smile. So at the end of his snout, we can just, in the middle or towards the bottom, we can just draw a curved line going in. And maybe another one underneath for a little lip. There we go. Okay, let's draw his little snout. And a snout is just kind of like an upside down teardrop. So like a almost circular but pointed towards the bottom. And we can draw a little curved line over that upside down teardrop for his snout. Now what we're going to do is let's continue actually this line. Let's just make a nice little jaw line. So from this line, we're just going to draw a curved line in for its jaw. Awesome. Okay, so his eyes are going to be right next to this little curve that we made for its eyebrow. So what you can do is slightly bigger, slightly curved line like that. Okay, then a line that goes from the top horizontally out to the right like that, and then diagonally down to where that curved line ends. Beautiful. And then on the inside, we're going to create that little slit of a pupil. So like a almond shape, starting from the top, curving out and then curving back in towards the bottom. And then on the other side, curving out, coming in at the bottom. Awesome. Okay, Now let's do our dragon ear. So what we want to have it slightly where this center fold is. Okay, so I might start his ear just slightly next to where this center fold is at the top, in between the two top rectangles. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a kind of curved line out, getting from the corner of this top rectangle into the corner of this right hand rectangle. And then I just might curve it back in like that. Okay. And I'm just going to draw a little parallel line at the top, hitting that point so it looks like his ear is kind of cupped down. Okay. Now let's draw our dragon horn. So our horn is going to kind of be in between, above and in between our dragon's eye and ear. So somewhere above and in between the eye and ear, make a little mark, just a little horizontal line. And our horn is going to go diagonally to the top right. So you can draw just a curved line going diagonally to the top right on one side of your tiny line that you made, and then a curved line going parallel, but then slightly getting closer and closer and getting to a point. There's our nice little horn. If you want to, you can even draw the little diagonal lines inside your horn so it looks like it's all twisted. Cool. All right, now that we have the horn, let's draw the line, that zigzag line, if you'd like, of his little like pointy, like winged cheek. So starting from below in between your eye and ear, you can start a curved diagonal line out, coming back in, curving out a little bit smaller, and curving back in. Just a nice big zigzag line. Okay, so then the line that we're going to create that divides the front of his neck from the back of his head and neck, we're also going to add that. So right kind of like at the end of his little zigzag winged cheek, let's draw that line that comes out, following this line as well, parallel down, like that. Okay, so now we have all of his features, his head, his neck, the separation between his front and back. Let's also draw those zigzag winged sort of things on his back. So at the top of his head, like right above his eye, you're going to, at the top of his head, just draw a line slightly diagonal to the right, and then curving down, like a little shark's fin. And then you can just keep creating these kind of shark fin shapes, getting slightly bigger and more pointed down along its back. So keep drawing those curved lines, curving back in like little shark fins until you run out of space. Cool. All right, so now we have the outline of our dragon. Let's start adding some more of the little details. Let's add the lines that separate out the different scales of its front. So along in between these two lines, we're just going to make some smile curves from one to the next. So smile curve from that line to this one. Leave a little space. Smile curve, smile curve. Now I'm going to leave larger spaces in between them. Smile curve, smile curve, smile curve. Cool. All right, awesome. We also might want to add just little lines where it looks like the little winged parts of his zigzag winged things are coming off of. So we can just draw parallel lines at the top like that. Cool. Amazing. Let's also give our dragon a like a larger eyebrow. So we're gonna just draw a kind of like teardrop shape, sideways teardrop shape on top of its eye. And then again, you can do those curved kind of letter C lines to look as though it has some texture. Okay, if we like all of our lines and there's nothing we want to erase, go ahead, take your black marker and just outline all the lines that you have made with your pencil. Okay, so we're just going to use that black marker to quickly outline any lines that you want to keep. Now, remember, if this video is going too fast for you, you can always watch the video on Schoology later at your own pace. But let's just take some time to outline our dragon lines. So anything we marked up in pencil, we're just gonna outline it up, okay? And once we do have the outlines done, we will get to adding the different values to make it look three-dimensional, and then adding the texture of your dragon. Now, if there are any details, creative details that you want to add to your dragon to make yours different from mine, you can go right ahead and draw different sort of details on your dragon to make it unique and creative and different from mine. I just wanted to show you how I did this one, just for those of you who are curious of how to do it. But if you have an idea of what you want to add, you can go ahead and add whatever other detail feature you want on your dragon. Okay, cool. Now we have our contour lines outlined in black. Let's get our pencil back. We are going to add the shading, the different values along our dragon to make that dragon look 3D. And the way that we're going to do that is quite simple. Just like how we were practicing shading with value along the edge, all along the edge, we're just going to take our pencil and just kind of shade it in with a darker value, back, forth, kind of diagonally along the outer outline of our dragon. So everywhere where it's kind of the outer outline of our dragon, that's where we're going to add the shading. So this is an outer outline. Over here is an outer outline. If my horn is in the way, I'm skipping that. I'm not shading on top of my horn. I'm skipping it for right now. But I am going to just use my pencil back, forth, shading along. Flip them upside down, easier for me. Shading along that outer outline. Going along. As it curves, I'm shading along the curve. Awesome. Here we go. Okay. From there, since we pressed hard with our pencil, let's just do the same thing, adding a next layer right next to it of a slightly lighter value. And you guys know how to do that. So lighten up your pressure. And we are just going to, along the side of our darker value, just do a slightly lighter layer right next to it. Okay. It doesn't have to be fully colored in. You can leave some spaces in between your shading lines. That's okay, because we are going to smudge it after we finish with our shading. So again, it doesn't have to be super perfectly, your lines can be a little bit further apart. They don't have to be super perfect and close together, just enough for you to shade. Okay. And then what we're going to do is you're going to take that finger, or remember, if you would rather put a paper towel along your finger to not get it messy, but what we're going to do is we are just going to rub it back and forth along where we added the value And that graphite should rub and blend to create that kind of smoother transition, making our values a little bit more gradient. So take your finger, rub, rub, rub. Beautiful. Nice. Okay, awesome. So now that we have the value along its body, let's also add some value onto the little details. So at the bottom of his eyebrow, we're just going to have some darker value towards the bottom and then give it a smudge. Okay, we're going to have some darker value coming off of that one kind of parallel line in the middle along each one of these sort of winged points. Last one. Okay, and rub. Okay. Even on the inside of this sort of middle part, if you just want to do just one little line of shading on them, that's going to make the texture of these parts look very smooth, and you can just rub, rub, rub. Beautiful. Okay, so looks like I have my different values. You can color in the snout black, you can color in that pupil black. And now, oh, the last little value we're gonna add is with the eye. So you can just put some darker value on one side of the eye and on the other and just kind of rub, rub, rub. Beautiful. Okay. Let's also add some value along one side of our horn, just in a straight line, leaving some highlight on one side and then on the other, and give it a nice little rub. Okay, cool. Now we're ready for the different textures. Now for the scales, the scales on the back of our dragon, let's just do it in black marker so it can go quickly. Notice how I did my scales smaller and closer together at the head, but then as it's going down, those scales get larger and further kind of apart from one another. So that's what we're going to do. And in order to do these scales, we're just gonna make kind of little scallops. And if you've never done a scallop before, it's just tiny little curved lines, one right next to each other. So making those tiny little lines of curved lines, one right next to each other. Remember, make them kind of close together and super teeny tiny, kind of going in the direction that your dragon's neck is going. So adding them behind his ear, behind the horn, but just doing curve line, curve line, curve line, curve line, curve line. One right next to each other, them hitting each other, just to create the scale textures. Okay, and as I'm curving down with these little scales, I'm gonna start right where it's curving down. I'm gonna start trying to make those scales slightly larger. So those curved lines are all of a sudden starting to get a bit wider and longer, and maybe a little bit further apart. So once you get to the curved down part, start trying to make your scales bigger and a little bit wider from one another. Okay, so I'm starting to curve down, and that's when my scales are starting to get really big. Making big curved lines. Keeping them still in a row and having the ends of them hit the other scales. but getting much, 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 much larger. Okay, big, big ones right at the end. Awesome, cool. All right, so we have our scale texture here. In order to make the teeny tiny little scale texture on this side of our dragon, I'm not gonna use my marker because I want them to be a little bit subtle. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my pencil and very, very lightly, so not pressing down hard, but very lightly, I'm just gonna make random twirly, whirly, swirly lines, just kind of improv where they swirl back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. This just creates the illusion of some sort of kind of scaled or rough texture. So go ahead, take your pencil, just kind of very lightly do some swirly lines, not pressing down hard, but just kind of swirled so that it looks like he has these kind of rough, dry, crackly skin texture to him. Awesome. All right. Oh, you know what? I forgot to add value in that ear, so we can add that. But other than that, our dragon is complete. If you would like to, you have the option of coloring it in with some color with crayon or colored pencil on top. That's fine. If you want to leave it black and white, that's okay too. If you want to cut out your dragon like I've done and paste it on a black piece of paper, you can do that if you have a black piece of paper, but if you don't, you can just leave it as is, and that's totally fine as well. Well, friends, I hope you had fun creating this dragon with me, and I can't wait to see yours.